Heya Cryptozens. Tonight's show. More Peril for Kwon. Barr nominated for Federal Reserve post. Swift to link CBDCs internationally. It's 10 p.m. Pacific. The date is May 17th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. I'm your host, Nick. The cover model for this podcast is Tex, and together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. So take a minute, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast now, because we're here at 10 p.m. every single night to bring you the crypto news analysis that you need to start your day. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. So I guess it's a good news, bad news kind of day for Kwon today. Bit of good news for him. Not a lot, but a bit. I was at the Terra station, and they're voting on a proposal that they hope will save Luna, albeit in a new blockchain. Their proposal, called Terra Builders Alliance Rebirth Terra Network, is to create a new blockchain called Terra. Ticker would still be Luna. Current Luna would become Luna Classic, and it would live on the Terra Classic blockchain. Well, there has been a lot of noise over this plan. As we talked about a couple days ago, the proposal on the forums had a preliminary poll. 90% said no to this plan to create a fork in Terra. They said burn it instead. And a similar poll on Twitter got similar results, 93% that time. But, as I said at the time, those were not scientific or authenticated polls in any way. You could just log on to the forum and vote. Or you could just go over to the tweet and click your vote. And as I predicted, it looks like they're going to fork. 167 million votes have been cast, roughly 45%. At this point in time, the yes votes have it. 78.79% of the votes cast so far are in favor of forking. So that was his good news. That part's over. Because now, on top of everything else, the tax man is coming for Terra Labs. That's right. There might have been a miscalculation to their plan. You see, Terra Labs is listed as being based out of Singapore. That said, according to South Korean corporate law, that doesn't matter. What matters is where your decision-making process and your operations are carried out. If that happens to be in South Korea, then that's where you do your thinking, that's where you do your planning, that's where you do your strategizing. Well, in this case, South Korea considers you to be a domestic corporation. Things change at that point. Now, this is in addition to the fact that Kwon has been summoned to the South Korean parliament. And there's some other criminal investigation going on here we'll talk about in a bit. But it looks like South Korea's National Tax Agency has hit Terraform Labs with a $78 million penalty. The charge? Yep, tax evasion. So now it sounds like Kwon caught wind of this. It's known he was unhappy with the tax situation and he was trying to liquidate Terra's South Korean operations. That was before the crash. Then the crash happened. So that's a problem. You see, the crash really tripped him up on this one because it doesn't matter where your company's registered. Terraform Labs has been under the microscope since June of last year. That's when South Korea started investigating them for evading corporate and income tax. So the tax authorities got tipped off when a bunch of Luna got sent from the Terraform Labs to the Luna Foundation Guard in the middle of the crisis with Terra Luna. Question becomes, were they trying to shore up the losses on the Anchor protocol, or were they trying to avoid taxes? And I don't expect this to go easy on them. You know, if I heard that there were a group of people called the Grim Reapers after me, I would be concerned. And then you find out what they do, and it gets worse. Because the Grim Reaper, they are lawyer, accountant, tax guys. And so it was announced yesterday that this group is being resurrected. They're the Security Crime Joint Investigation Team. They got the name Grim Reapers because of all the high-profile targets that they've taken down. And now they're looking at Kwon. You know, a lot of people hold him specifically responsible for the collapse of this project. And we talked about it a couple days ago. Kwon's already been hit with a civil suit from a group of Terra investors. He's being sued in criminal court for fraud. So that means his assets are going to be frozen. He's being sued in Singapore, and now he's under investigation for potential breaches of the Capital Markets Act. Let's take a minute and look at the markets. At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is $1.28 trillion. It's up 3.37% in 24. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin up 4.62%, Ethereum up 4.22%, Tether, USDC, and Binance Coin up 5.37%. Michael Barr is a former advisor for Ripple. He has been tapped by President Biden to take on the Federal Reserve's oversight in the U.S. financial sector. Specifically, he's been nominated as the Vice Chair of Supervision for the Federal Reserve. What he would be doing is regulating the top financial institutions in the country. That is, if he's confirmed. So, in preparation for his Senate hearing, he submitted his financial disclosure form. And that form indicates that he has investments in 82 different fintech or fintech startups. A lot of them are directly tied to crypto. And in the hearing, it came up. He sees cryptocurrency as offering, quote, some potential for upside and also some significant risks. Now, as far as his time with Ripple goes, it didn't come up. Not once. Which is interesting, right? Because they're in the middle of a big fight with the SEC. Now, sure, right now, he is the dean of the public arm at University of Michigan Law School. But he once worked for a cryptocurrency company that is very much in the news against the SEC. And so while it didn't come up, he was asked for his thoughts on the current status of crypto. And he said, quote, in issues such as stablecoins, there could be financial stability risks. And I think it's quite important that Congress and regulatory agencies wrap their arms around those financial stability risks and regulate. But that's stablecoins. And while they're an important part of the crypto ecosystem, they're still only a part. A lot of people, they buy crypto as an investment. And he really doesn't speak much to that. That's an investor protection issue. And as he says, that really is the responsibility of other agencies. And he has enough to worry about with just the stablecoins, to be honest. Because if he's confirmed, he is going to be a key player in the question about stablecoins and CBDCs. You know, the Federal Reserve, they really haven't gone anywhere on the question of either stablecoins or CBDCs. And in this case, as his potential boss, Jerome Powell, has said, he would wait for both congressional action and presidential approval before making a decision. Now, Barr, he's kind of been down this road before. You know, he's been nominated for other top financial regulatory positions before. He's been nominated for a different position with the Fed in 2014. Organized progressive opposition sank his chances there. And then he was a potential pick for the comptroller of the currency, but that fell through too. Same kind of thing. But now, this might all bode well for the crypto industry. Everybody knows he's got history with Ripple. And everybody knows that the SEC is after Ripple. And the question is whether Ripple was an unregistered security or not. That question didn't even come up in the hearing. And now everybody knows he's on board with Alliance for Innovative Regulation. That is a very pro-crypto group. And it's known he was an advisor to NYCA partners. And he has got a number of directly crypto-related investments, like Sardine AI, that protects crypto wallets, and Zero Hash. They make back-end software for crypto trading. The point is, they know who he is. They know the kinds of things that interest him, and they know what kinds of things he invests in. And they don't have any issues with his involvement in crypto. So it still looks like he has a chance. Even Senator Warren, who is my odds-on favorite to hate anything to do with crypto, even Senator Warren has endorsed Barr. Barr was a part of the Biden-Harris transition team. So I feel like he's going to do just fine with the Democrats. Republicans, I suspect they're going to be more interested in being seen as facilitating crypto and as playing ball. They're not going to get in his way as long as he doesn't say anything too out there. And another thing about him, he's not afraid of regulation, as long as it's right sized. And to be honest, a bit of regulation is something that we need right now. We'll see how it goes, but maybe there's room for hope. The global NFT market cap is up over $10.94 billion. Sales volume is up 8.57% in 24 hours. According to CoinMarketCap, the top 5 NFT collections by sales volume are Other Deed, followed by Bored Apes, Return of Legends Season 4, Mutant Apes, and Return of Legends Season 1. Keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. So, the SWIFT system isn't something we talk about a lot. Frankly, it doesn't come up in conversation around cryptocurrency all that often because it is a fiat system of control. Other than the fact that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are in direct competition with SWIFT, it almost never comes up. So let's back up and talk about SWIFT. SWIFT is an acronym. It stands for the Society for Worldwide International Financial Telecommunications. At least where fiat currency is concerned, it is the gold standard for payment and securities trade transactions. If you want to move currency across borders, that's how it's done. So the SWIFT system, at present, works like this. Effectively, it's a bunch of text messages. So let's say you've got a great Aunt Bessie, and let's say Bessie, she's got herself a gambling problem. She's down bad, and she owes some people a lot of money. But you love your great aunt, so you want to help her out. The problem is, Bessie lives in Europe. She lives in England, and that's where things get complicated. Because if she lived in the same town as you, easy peasy. Go to the bank, get the money, take it to her house. Or get it from the ATM, take it to her house. Maybe she's new with it and doesn't touch paper money. Maybe she lives in a different town some ways away. Drive over an envelope of money isn't a good plan, so you have your bank send the money along. Still, easy peasy. That's because you're still within the United States, still within the automated clearinghouse system, how banks within the United States communicate to each other. That's completely separate. Bessie, however, she lives in England, and it's not that bad, actually. You call your great aunt, you get her bank number and her account number. You see, every bank in the SWIFT system has their own bank number. So you take the bank number and the account number and the money, and you go to your bank. You give them the money and the account number and the bank number, and they say, okay, and it's done. Maybe. Because you don't get a lot in the way of confirmation. And it's not happening in real time, so you can't watch it happen. In fact, SWIFT may have been a good name for it back in the day, but SWIFT is a really bad name for the system now. That did not age well. So now they've got a new project, and it's still in their wheelhouse of cross-border payments. They're working with a French IT firm called Capgemini, and their intent is to focus on interlinking all the different CBDCs coming out. Thomas Zasch is SWIFT's Chief Innovation Officer, and he said, quote, "Today, the global CBDC ecosystem risks becoming fragmented with numerous central banks developing their own digital currencies based on different technologies, standards, and protocols." Sudhir Pai is Capgemini's Chief Technology and Innovation Officer, and he said, quote, "Navigating decentralization is complex with many technology choices, operating models, and policy considerations. Our well-defined taxonomy has helped us accelerate our efforts to build CBDC interlinks with SWIFT." You see what they're doing, right? They're central bankers, and they're thinking like central bankers think. They're consolidating power, because the last thing a bureaucrat wants to do is let go of a little bit of influence. Cross-border payments is their thing, and they don't want crypto presenting a challenge. But they also want to make sure that all the government's digital currencies will play well with their little system. Now, there are some CBDCs out there that use a centralized architecture. China's yuan, that's an example. Others, like Nigeria's CBDC, they're built on a blockchain. So these CBDCs, they're going to have to build a gateway to handle all these transactions. They'll have to interpret the transaction and, if needed, send it out of the CBDC system to Swift. And then Swift will send that to the other CBDC network or some other established payment system. Conceptually, it's kind of similar to how Swift works now. They've just digitized their process rather than changing it or improving it, really. There's no real innovation there. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed tonight's show, like, comment, and subscribe. Give us a glowing review, because that helps other people find their way to this podcast. And we're here each and every night at 10 p.m. Pacific, bringing you the crypto news analysis that you need to start your day. You can find us on podcasting platforms everywhere or on YouTube. If you have questions or comments, reach out and let us know. The email address is nick@cryptoovernighter.com. That's nick@cryptoovernighter.com. And until then, may all your investments go up and to the right.